Okay, welcome to our viewers. This is the second and final session of our series of Dead Scare by Elsa Henry, a game of 1950s housewives fighting zombies. So if I could get all of our players to real quickly reintroduce yourself and your character. Will go in the order you're in the character keeper. So Bruce, start us off.
I am Bruce, and I am playing Letitia, the school nurse.
Okay, and Kyle?
I'm Kyle. I'm playing Helen Richards, the wife.
Okay. And Larry?
I am Lori Berman. I am playing a scout, a Girl Scout.
All right. And so at the end of our last session, we had, excuse me, unfortunately had to take out Helen's husband and his work friend, who had gotten zombified, and then our three intrepid characters had made their way across a ravine to the church where the fallout shelter was, and where a whole bunch of the folks in the neighborhood were kind of holing up because of this zombie outbreak. And we had left you kind of on the doorstep of the church as you were getting there. So to kind of get us back into things, I'd like to have you each tell me one thing that you've heard about the church. So if you've been living in this neighborhood, one of you, forget who it was, one of you actually had said you attend this church. I know Lori is Jewish, so wouldn't have been in this church too much, but you've all heard a bit about it, so I'll give you a minute, and then we'll just jump in when you think of something. I want to get you each to tell me one thing that you've heard about this church. Something that would be on your mind as you're approaching the church, looking to ask for sanctuary there.
Well, I think Letitia attends a church because it's in her neighborhood. And she believes that there's a bomb shelter underneath it.
Okay. So Letitia's heard about the bomb shelter. How about the other two folks?
I think Helen heard that they used to smuggle alcohol through here during the Prohibition.
Okay. Sounds good. And
Sorry, yeah. I think Lori maybe. I'm just trying to make sure this is going to jive with the bomb shelter. Bomb shelter will be underground. I think there's also like an underground crypt that is haunted.
Okay. You know, haunted crypt, old moonshine running operation from back in the day, and a bomb shelter. All right, so you're approaching the church. We had said you're kind of coming across the parking lot. There's plenty of cars here, so it looks like people in the neighborhood are, in fact, congregating at the church. And so who is taking the lead? Who is actually going up and knocking on the church door here?
Well, I think Letitia is probably leading the way.
Okay.
She's pretty take charge. She's been kind of doing that along. So I don't know if she'd knock other than just throw the door open and walk in.
Okay, so Letitia's going up. I think that makes sense. You attend this church, and the door is actually locked, so you have to knock. And why don't you roll me Avon calling to see what kind of response you get from the folks in the church there. So that's plus your congeniality.
Oh, I don't know if I have any of that. To be honest. Let me just check real quick. Oh yeah, we're a -1 on the old congeniality, so it's so yeah, it's gonna be a 5.
It's a 5. All right, good. We're starting off starting off on a good footing here, right?
Gain XP.
Yeah. So you knock on the door, and the door opens just a crack. You can see it's got one of the like a little security chain thing. Right. So it opens just a crack, and you kind of see a person's face kind of in the a crack there, and they yell, "We're full, no more room, go away," and kind of slam the door, and you hear the lock click. And Lori, you recognize the face as your scoutmaster. What is your scoutmaster's name, by the way?
Oh, Jiminy Cricket. I am really bad with names, so if anybody wants to jump in with a name, just remember that he or she, I guess it probably should be, we were like 1950s, probably Girl Scouts. So
yeah, so I think probably
a woman.
she.
Yeah,
yeah. I think they'd find it a little weird to have a man running the Girl Scout troop, especially in this era.
But yeah, and just a reminder, like the Scoutmaster is a secret commie, is a gossip that we established earlier.
Yep. That is why I'm bringing the Scoutmaster into it, because we've already established a gossip about the Scoutmaster.
Let's see, what's a good name?
Is this, what, 1950?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanda.
Sounds good. I like it.
Okay. We'll call her Wanda Wright for her last name. So the others of you can call her Wanda. She probably insists that Lori calls her Mrs. Wright. Yeah. So Lori, you noticed that was Mrs. Wright, your scoutmaster, telling you all to go away.
Well, that's hurtful. I think I'm going to assume that she did not notice me there.
Yeah, she didn't like make eye contact with you or anything.
Yeah.
And Letitia was in the front,
blocking the view, right?
So yeah,
I'm quite little after all. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like sort of push my way forward with my elbows, and then I'm gonna firmly pound on the door. Mrs. Wright, it's Lori. Please, you've got to let us in.
Okay. So I think you hear the door unlock again, opens a crack again, and she sticks her face in and says, "I said go away." Before she even looks at you, she just yells that. But if you would also like to roll Avon Calling, we can see if you're more successful in.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm also -1 congeniality.
Okay.
I have to rethink my life decisions. But I did roll a 9, so
okay.
A total of 8.
All right. You can either get an item or convince them of the action that you require.
Well, I don't think there's really items that I'm interested in. So yeah, I think it's just convincing Mrs. Wright to let us the hell in.
Yeah. So I think she opens the door of the crash. She yells at you, and she looks like she's just starting to close it, and then she stops. She's like, "Wait, Lori, what are you doing out there?" And she fumbles with the chain and opens it, and she opens it just enough for the three of you. She's like, get in here. And kind of ushers you in, and then closes the door and locks it behind you. And she kind of looks all of you up and down. And we're gonna say that she's a younger woman, maybe in her like mid-20s. She's got bright red hair, and she so she looks you all up and down and says, I'm glad you're all safe. And did you have any trouble on the way over? Did you run into any men on your way over here?
Her husband tried to gnaw her neck off, and we had to kill him and another guy. Other than that, it was fine.
Yeah. This is right. It was like, oh, gee, like, it's a little more blunt than she was expecting.
Letitia, there's a nicer way of phrasing that.
Desperate times, we need to communicate directly. Excuse me for being blunt.
This is his blood all over me.
Yeah, I mean, we're spattered with blood also.
Yeah. So I think she, now she sees that you've got that, and she kind of like shrinks back, right? Like that blood might be contaminating, and she kind of looks at the two of you that are adults and says, "Now I only let you in here because you have Lori with you, and I could get in a lot of trouble here, but let's get you washed up." And she kind of escorts you towards the nearest bathroom. And the area that you're in is kind of it's a hallway, sort of where some of the like offices and Sunday school rooms and stuff are. And she kind of ushers you down the hallway a little bit to where the bathroom is, and kind of hustles you inside and tells you that you need to get washed up really quick, because you don't want anybody getting suspicious that you might be bringing any problems into the church. And she again says that very like enunciated, like, euphemism. She doesn't want you bringing any problems into the church. Yeah, so you're all now in the bathroom, and she's waiting, presumably outside.
Well, I assume we'd clean ourselves up, given the opportunity, and probably Letitia would probably take this opportunity to check over her companions, make sure they weren't injured during that fracas back at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lori's gonna get washed up. I'm trying to think whether or not she would. I think she. I think she'll accept Letitia's like inspection, but maybe like under her breath is like, I know first aid too.
All right.
Helen's gonna quietly just sort of try to get all the blood off herself and out of the clothes, which is a doomed effort, but she's gonna try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see Letitia and Helen do each have one harm that you took during the fight last time. Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants to roll any healing moves while you're in the bathroom, we can do that. Or if you just want to do kind of stabilizing first aid kind of stuff, we could leave it at that.
I don't see a healing move.
I don't think there's a basic move, but I think some of the playbooks have. Oh wait, okay, yeah. The sterilization is about infections.
Yeah, that's the closest they get. Although my character does have
okay.
Advanced first aid kit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a move associated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to roll spick and span to sort of just cover up the bite mark somehow. Maybe put gauze over the band-aid or something.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if they see a bite mark, that could be a potential issue here.
Sorry, go ahead.
I rolled a 9.
9. Okay, so choose 2. You don't leave any clues to find. It doesn't take very long, and nobody sees you do it. So you get 2 out of those 3.
You don't. I'm gonna choose. I don't leave any clues to find, and nobody sees me. So
okay.
I'm probably gonna be in here for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I think as you're bandaging, you're trying to get it. You don't really have good supplies there. It's just a church bathroom. There's like, coarse paper towels and stuff like that in there. not any sort of actual medical supplies. And so as you're doing it, you hear Mrs. Wright kind of knocking on the door, kind of impatiently, and is kind of like whispering into the door, "What are you doing in there?"
I'll try to buy some time for Helen and be like, "I'm not dressed."
Letitia will go over and sort of open and block the door. Say, "Listen, she's pregnant. Now leave us alone." Boom, close the door.
Yeah, this is right. I think I'm seeing her as an easily shocked and scandalized character here.
Well, she's got a husband, so.
Yeah, but I mean, there are things that are, you're pretty blunt about things that don't often get talked about in polite society in the 1950s. So.
Right. Normally it would be like she's, what was the euphemisms they use? Like she's in the way, or she's.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And you usually also wouldn't just like declare that to someone else, like, "Hey, she's pregnant."
That's probably true for general like 1950s behavior, but you see an army mule. I don't think we're quite as genteel as a lot of those folks.
Yeah. Okay. But so yes, you eventually do get bandaged up so that people won't see the bite mark that got left on you.
Is there anything weird looking about the mark?
I mean, it looks like a human bite mark, right? It's like human teeth, and people don't normally get bitten by people. Like it would be less suspicious if it was a dog bite, right? Because dogs bite people sometimes.
Can we bring her hair?
Don't usually.
Can we like bring her hair down over it or something?
Yeah, something like you picked the "don't leave any clues" option, so you're able to get it covered up, so they're not going to see it.
Aside from the optics, can I try and use patient to remove some of her infection?
Yes. Yes, you can do that, because
Let it have a nice.
that's right. Because Helen is infected, so I think it's now that you've got a moment to work on it, we can let you roll that again to see if you can remove that infection.
Cool. I got 11.
11. Okay. So Helen, go ahead and remove your infection there. You have gotten all cleaned up. And while you are in here doing all this, right, since it does take a little longer, that was the one you didn't take. You hear some conversation happening in the hallway outside, and it sounds like Mrs. Wright is talking to a man. It's a deeper male kind of voice. You can't hear exactly what they're saying because they're not like talking through the door, but they have a short conversation, and then you hear them both kind of walk away down the hall.
Can I use listen close to see if I can hear what they're saying?
Sure.
Nice. 10.
10. Okay, you can hear everything you're listening for. Okay, so the conversation is basically, so you gather from the context that the male voice is the priest here, and so it kind of makes sense that you're the one that would hear that because you've been to this church. You know what the priest's voice sounds like. Give me a name for him.
Oh, that's Father Tom. His name's
Father Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you recognize it's Father Tom, and he's basically grilling Mrs. Wright as to why she's left her post, because she was stationed by the side door, and that she has that job, and she tries to make excuses. not to let on that you're all in the bathroom there, because she wasn't supposed to let more people in. And she took pity on you because of Lori, but she really wasn't supposed to let anybody in. And so she's giving him the sob story about being afraid, and he gives her a candlestick that she can use as a weapon, one of the big heavy candlesticks from the altar. And he kind of sends her back to her post at the door. And he then kind of moves off, kind of muttering some sexist things under his breath that he didn't mean for her to hear, but you can hear since you are successfully listening close.
So I'll probably share most of that with Helen.
All right. Now that I'm gonna whisper back to Letitia and try to keep it so that Lori doesn't hear. Like, so do you think we'll be able to stay here? Should we try for that?
So Lori just sort of taps she's got the axe over her shoulder. And she says, "I'm not leaving. As long as you stay behind me, neither are you."
You've hurt people?
I'm not leaving. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
You have just as much right to be here as them. Now. I'm not going to resort to violence against these folks, and they were kind enough to let us in. But I mean, they're not going to throw us out at this point. We're here. It's the church. Besides, I know Father Tom. I'll go out there and smooth them over, and I think things will be just fine.
Hey, what are you guys whispering about?
It's nothing. It's nothing, dear. Let's go outside and talk to the nice lady.
Tie your shoes, Lori.
This place is creepy. You know it's haunted, right?
Well, as long as you stay close to me, you'll be fine.
What can you do about a ghost?
She has no.
Yeah,
respect.
that's what I thought.
There's no such thing as ghosts, dear. Let's just go out and talk to the nice lady.
Yeah, and up to about a half an hour ago, you probably thought there was no such thing as radioactive zombie mutants either. So
we dealt with them. If the ghosts show up, we'll deal with them too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So are you all emerging from the bathroom then?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there's, you're on this hallway, and I'm going to say that there's actually a bit of a corner. So, you can't see the door where you came in and where Mrs. Wright is presumably re-stationed now. And so, Letitia, you've been in this church enough to know that if you go kind of back that way past the door where Mrs. Wright is kind of the way to the main church area, and I'm drawing a blank now on what these rooms are called in a church. But that's the way to get to the area where the services are held. And if you go the other way down the hall is the way to the parish hall, the big kind of social function room in the lower part of the church. So there's the main services room is kind of on the upper floor, and the parish hall is kind of on the lower floor of the church.
Well, okay. So how many people are in the church? How many are they sheltering in here?
So far, the only people you've seen are Mrs. Wright, and then you've heard Father Tom.
Well,
so there's some sound coming from kind of the direction of the parish hall. So there's clearly some other people here, but you don't know really who or how many.
So, but we came in the main entrance of the church, like through the sanctuary.
No, you came in a side door.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we should have a look around. I want to get a lay of what's going on here for sure.
Yeah, Helen's also going to try to sneak around, see how many people are in the building.
Okay. So you're gonna sneak around to do that?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a move for that. Silent as the grave. So that's a roll plus your moxie.
Oof, 5.
A 5. Okay. So it says on a 6 or below, you're just like a bull in a china shop, aren't you, dear? So which direction were you headed to scope things out?
Towards the main room. The I guess.
Okay, towards the main sanctuary area.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going that way, and you're sneaking along, and you see that a whole bunch of the paraphernalia in the church has been moved around and tossed out into the hallways and stuff. It looks like people have been trying to rearrange a lot of stuff really quickly as the church is being converted for a different kind of use. And so as you're doing that, you accidentally step on some of the altar vestments that have been kind of stacked somewhere, and that causes some of the candles that were resting on top of there to fall down, and it knocks down an offering plate and makes this kind of gong sound when it falls because of metal plate. And it's made this noise, it's made this mess, and you see poking around from out the nearest door is who you assume must be Father Tom. Well, actually, I would guess. Would you be familiar with Father Tom? You don't go to the church, but okay. Well, you assume it's him because he's wearing the little clerical collar. And so he's kind of an older guy. He's got, it's kind of balding with a fringe of white hair around the back. And he's got the clerical collar on. So, you can pretty well guess who he probably is. And his eyes go wide, and he's got a, he's got a candlestick as well. A really big brass candlestick, and he's holding it out, and he clearly is not a man who has wielded a weapon before, but he's doing his best, and he's kind of pointing it at you, and he can tell you're not one of the people, you're not one of his parishioners, not somebody that's been in the church before. And he's like, "Stop! Who are you? What are you doing? How did you get in here?"
I'm going to try to bluff him and be like, "Oh, Father Tom, I'm so sorry about making such a racket. I tripped and knocked this over. I'm sorry. I've been taking a moment. After everything that's been happening today, I've just been needed a long time to myself in one of the side rooms.
Okay, so
trying to get him to think that I've been here for a while.
Okay, so why don't you roll Shockster, which is plus your congeniality. Seven. Okay, so it says on a 7 to 9, you must make an additional Moxie roll to see if you succeed.
Oof. Okay.
So your Moxie's -1. It's a 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a little bit of an oddly written move to have the second roll. So it says on a 6 or below, your friends might need to bail you out of this one. So he's kind of looking at you suspiciously, and he said, "I don't recognize you. Have you been here?" And I guess what I will say is that if you would like, Mrs. Wright can, come running at the racket and vouch for you, but you will owe her a big favor.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay. So just keep in mind that you owe Mrs. Wright a big favor in the future. But yeah, so she comes running too because there's a lot of noise. And she sees you there, and she sees Father Tom kind of holding his candlestick at you. And you so you kind of hear her from behind you. And she's like, Father Tom, put that down. This is just Helen. She's been here for a while. I know it's hard to remember all the people that we've taken in. There's a lot of folks coming here, but as the church, we need to be caring for everyone here. We can't go around waving candlesticks at our own people. And Father Tom kind of like lowers the candlestick, and he said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mrs. What did you say your last name was?
It's Richards, Father.
Mrs. Richards. It's good to have you here. I'm very sorry. We're all a little jumpy after everything that's been happening. Why don't you go on down to the parish hall and see if anyone needs any help down there?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm going to sort of, when the father isn't looking, I'm going to shoot a very grateful glance at the Mrs. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're headed to the parish hall then? Okay. How about the other two of you? Are you going to go along there as well?
Yeah, I mean, Letitia wanted to see who all they were sheltering in here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's not that hard to get to the parish hall. It's just kind of around the other side of the hallway and down the stairs. And so the parish hall is, it's a big room where they can hold various sorts of functions. There is kind of an open area along one side that looks into the big industrial kind of kitchen that the church has. And there are quite a lot of people down here. There are, you're not going to take time to count, but it looks like there might be at least 100 people down here. And so they're sort of milling around. People have got some chairs out. There are some people in the kitchen that look like they're kind of working furiously on something. There is also a section to the side that is kind of roped off. They've taken some chairs and made kind of an enclosure and taken some of the church vestments and stuff and made kind of like a rope along it just to mark it off. And there are a number of people in there, and standing guard over them are a couple of women holding guns. And they're kind of standing guard and watching the group of people that are in this enclosure, most of whom have bandages of one sort or another on them, and are either look kind of just dazed and out of it, or are kind of furiously praying. So that's the scene that greets you when you get down to the parish hall.
Ooh, can one or both of my parents be like in that enclosure?
If you would like, absolutely.
Yeah, because I kind of forgot about them earlier on in the narrative, and
yeah,
that might be an interesting way of booking them in.
Who would you like to have in there?
Well, my dad. I mean, he might be dead because he works in the strip mall. Like, shit got pretty bad out there, so I'll let you decide whether or not he would have made it this far. I think my mom for sure, because she was probably more like at home.
Let's say it's your mom.
Okay.
Let's say it's your mom that's in there. What's your mom's name?
Let's see. Eastern European Jewish woman. Eastern Europe. I am now Googling a name.
I think you said you were Polish immigrants, so.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably mostly grew up in the old country.
Anything? Anybody want to jump in? Then feel free to do so. I don't. Is Lydia? What about Lydia? I don't know.
Sure, I'm good with Lydia. So Lydia, Herman. Lori's marking her down on our list of NPCs. Okay, yeah. Cool. So among all these other people, a few of them are people that some of you like vaguely recognize that you've seen around the neighborhood and stuff. But the one that stands out, at least to you, Lori, is your mom. And so your mom is sitting on a chair in the enclosure. She has some bandages on her left arm, and she's sitting a little separated from the other people in the enclosure. It looks like they're a little suspicious of her, and she kind of she like makes eye contact with you. So what are you trying to communicate to her once you see that she recognizes you?
Oh, I'm like, Mama! And I'm like, just rushing straight ahead at her. So I see her injured. I want to I want to inspect her. Use my first aid kit on her.
Okay, so you run towards her, and one of the the nearest guard just stops you, like hand on your chest, stops you. And let's say that this is Mrs. Parsons, the teacher, just to wrap these NPCs back into it. So this is your teacher, Mrs. Parsons. So she is here, and she has a we'll say that it's a rifle that she's got. And she's holding it like she knows how to use it. But she's not pointing it at anyone right now, but right. she's got it and seems, as compared to the way, Father Tom with his candlestick was like, he's never done more than swat a fly in his life. But Mrs. Parsons seems to have some sort of background here that she would know what to do if she needed to shoot anyone. But she like hand on your chest stops you. And
I invoke like, Lori, the squirm move. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's okay. Like, Lori, I'm so glad you're here and you're safe. But yeah, so you're gonna try to, and she says you can't go in there. All those people are under quarantine.
That's my mom. And I'm gonna like try to kick her in the shin and then like basically, yeah, just sort of
squirm in there.
Squirm in, yeah.
Okay, so roll and add your brawn.
Okay. I'm gonna grab the purple dice. Oh, 12.
12. Okay, you successfully elude being in someone's grasp. So yeah, so she she's trying to stop you, and you said you kicked her in the shins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she just like reflexively goes to grab her shin when you do that and lets go of you, and you're able to, and you're small enough that you can like duck under the rope that's being used to tie it off. And
yeah, so your mom like, embrace my mom and be like, mama, and like not so much an embrace her, but like to like inspect her head, right? She had the bandage on her head.
No, a bandage on her arm.
Oh, arm, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So she like hugs you with the good arm and kind of like whispers in your ear, I'm so glad you're safe. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah, I'm probably like all teary-eyed, but like I'm trying to concentrate and It's like I got to change your bandages. These bandages aren't fresh.
While she's doing that, Helen's gonna take a look around, try to figure out how the people are reacting, what the mood of the room is. I guess.
Okay.
I think that's eyeball. I think.
Okay. Go for it.
What is that? Plus smart 9.
It's a 9. Okay, you receive one piece of information. Let's see, because there's some things that are just obvious to all of you that don't take any special looking to see. So the first big thing is that, excuse me, the population in the parish hall is entirely women and children. There are no adult men here whatsoever. You know, the oldest male person in the room is, you know, maybe like 12 years old. So it's a lot of women, and you know, a bunch of them have their children, and they are people from all over the neighborhood. You know, people that that you've seen before, some people you haven't seen before, and it looks like there are a few folks that seem to be clearly in charge, trying to keep order here. We'll actually say that those people are wearing, they've taken the stole, like the priests sometimes wear, and they've, you know, there are several women wearing those, and they seem to be the authority figures that are trying to keep order. There's, you know, because there's clearly some cooking going on in the kitchen, and there's some people kind of getting a little antsy, especially the children, about when the food's going to be ready. And so the enforcers with the stoles are kind of trying to keep everything settled down. There's a lot of people that are crying, and you know, other people trying to comfort them as they do this.
All right.
So, yeah.
Things don't.
So I think the key piece that you noticed that other people hadn't is the kind of the enforcers wearing the stoles. Okay. And you're able to see that they're clearly the ones in charge, calling the shots here.
I think Helen's going to try to quietly distance herself from where the scout was standing.
Okay.
I think we have to roll.
So yeah. I think you can just do that. If you're just quietly distancing yourself, I don't think that's a high stakes enough thing that'll make you roll for it. You can just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, Letitia, what do you get up to?
All right. So she's going to check out the lay of this place. And obviously some of these people have declared themselves authorities, and that's fine. She's checking out this. So they have some people quarantined. Do they have any other medical facility here, or?
So there is, you see that there's a big first aid kit that looks like it's been basically pushed into the quarantine area, and it's open, and it looks like some of the people in the quarantine, the ones that seem to have their wits about them a little more, have been trying to use that to patch things up. But nobody there seems to be operating with any sort of medical proficiency.
So of these folks that are put themselves in charge, there's appear to be one, like an alpha. Is there someone that's like in charge of all of them?
Yeah, we'll say that there's one woman. So we'll say that there's kind of three people wearing kind of white colored stoles, and one has a purple one, and she seems to be the top person in charge, and she's kind of rushing around, telling other people what they need to do and trying to keep order here. And we'll say that you actually, since you go to this church, you recognize this woman, we will call her, let me think of a good name. We'll call her Edna Van Dyke. She seems to be the one in charge. You also know that she is she's the leader of the church choir. So she's someone that was already kind of in a leadership role in the church, and she seems to have taken on a leadership role now in this like kind of sanctuary,
filling the vacuum, right? Okay.
Yeah. Like, it seems logical that she kind of stepped up into this role because somebody needed to be taking charge here, and people were already kind of looking to her as a leader because she was already a leader in church stuff. So she kind of seems to have taken that on.
All right. So Lydia is going to go over to, or Lydia,
Letitia
is going to go over. She wanted to check out the quarantine area. How many people are in it?
We'll say there are, we'll say half a dozen people, including Lori's mom.
And Lori's mom is, you said she's the worst of them?
No, she's separated off a little. The other people aren't close to her, but that may have as much to do with her religion as with anything to do with her medical condition. She's got a bandaged arm. Some other people have other parts bandaged. And like I said, some of them are just kind of like praying furiously. A couple of them look totally out of it as they're sitting there in these chairs. But then there's the two people standing guard, Mrs. Parsons and one other person that you don't recognize.
Well, Tisha's going to take her advanced first aid kit. She's going to straighten her little nurse's cap, a little blood and brains off her lapel. Say, good evening, ladies. Looks like you got some ill people here. I'm going to go tend to them. Get out of my way.
And so Mrs. Parsons, again, moves to stop you the same way she did with Lori. And she says, you can't go in there. Those people are potentially infected.
Are our friends and our neighbors, and we are good Christians, and it is our duty to provide them solace and healing. And I'm going to do that.
We're not.
And I think when you say, we're good Christians, you see her like sneak a glance at Lori and her mom. But okay, so you are, sounds like probably rolling Avon calling again if you're trying to convince her to let you in.
Is there something that's more along the lines of intimidation? Let me look at this.
Yeah, there's not anything that's intimidation exactly. So
okay.
I mean, we could kind of like fake it. If you're trying to like physically intimidate her, I could have you roll plus brawn and just kind of
No, I'm just gonna try and convince her that my argument is sound, I guess.
Okay, so roll plus congeniality then.
Damn. 6.
6. Okay. Yeah, so I think as you're trying to convince her, and it's not getting through to her, and she's explaining her argument to you is that there's too much of a risk. We don't know what this infection could bring, and we can't let anyone cross that line. And just as she's saying that, you hear kind of a moaning from one of the people that had looked kind of out of it. And we'll say, in fact, we'll give this person a name that you know her. We will say this is Angelina Olson is this woman And she, you kind of see her from behind. She's kind of moaning a little bit now, and she sits up from the chair, and then she like gets up kind of jerkily, and she starts shuffling over towards the barrier, walking with kind of the same walk that Jacob and David had when you were dealing with them back at Helen's house. And several people around that also see this start to scream, and Mrs. Parsons kind of whips around. She like picks the gun up and just, without even hesitating, shoots Angelina right in the head, and like hits her straight in the forehead, and she falls back. And the other people in the quarantine kind of like rush away, trying not to get splattered with any of the blood. And Mrs. Parsons, after she does, she kind of puts the gun down. She's like breathing heavily, but she did it, and she kind of looks at you, and she points and she says, "That is why you can't go in there."
And I need to go in there because I'm going to point out at all these other people. You got a bullet for every one of them. How many of your friends and neighbors are you going to shoot, or are we going to try and save some of them from that fate?
Okay. Well, you're not going to be able to convince her. If you want to just push past her,
well, I would
try that.
So we're out in the parish. These people are all around, right? I mean, there's the people that are being sheltered here. Like, we're not separated from the bulk of the group here, right?
Right. It's one big room, and this one area has just been quarantined off with these chairs and ropes.
So what I'm getting at is she's saying all this really loud. Like everything she said about being good Christians, these are friends and neighbors, and you're going to shoot all of them too. That was intended for the crowd, not just for this one.
Okay, so you're trying to get the crowd on your side. Okay. So actually, why don't we do this as the move now? Because I think the crowd right now is in kind of a state of panic, because they saw Angelina get up, and they saw Mrs. Parsons have to blow her head off. And the gun, of course, is extremely loud. So the crowd is in kind of a state of panic over this. And so if you can calm the room down, they will listen to you and what you're trying to do. I think is how I think this would work.
Okay,
if that makes sense to you.
So sorry, what am I doing again?
Okay, so the move is called Now, and so it's a roll plus your congeniality.
Oh, okay, so it's the same one I've been failing at, but all right. Maybe you'll get a good one this time. Ooh, 10.
10. Okay, so you can calm the room and get everyone to talk nicely to one another. Yeah, so I think when you're shouting out about we need to help these people. And so I think that, everyone is like seeing someone actually get shot over this makes this a lot more real, because this is the first time that, somebody in the infected area has seemed to actually go full zombie. And so before they've been like, oh yeah, if somebody goes zombie, we're going to have to shoot them. And now that this actually happened, they're like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so when you're shouting about, well, we need to help these people, the crowd seems to be receptive to that idea. They're like, yeah, that sounds a lot better than shooting people in the basement of a church. And so you can tell the crowd kind of has your back, and Mrs. Parsons gets that message as well. And she moves one of the pieces of rope aside for you, and she's like, if you insist on trying, go ahead, but if you get bitten, you're staying in there with them. But she kind of lets you through there.
So she's also going to look out and I said, I could use a hand here, like could someone fetch some hot water from the kitchen, some towel.
Yeah, and I think you see a couple people scramble. There's someone nearby that has a couple like preteen kids that weren't doing anything, and so that she tells her son and daughter to go fetch you the water and towels that you need, and they kind of scramble off. So they'll be back in just a bit with supplies. So turning back to Lori, so you had just met up with your mom there, and she tells you that just before she came here, she had gotten a call from your father that he was at the shop and some people were trying to get in, and that he promised he would be okay, but he urged her, he had heard that the church was going to be a safe place, and he had urged her to go there. And she says that what she says to you is that she stumbled and fell on the way, but when she got here, the people assumed that she must be infected and put her in here.
Gotcha.
So that's the summary of the story that she tells you, and she's kind of distraught, so it's a lot more disjointed in her actual telling. But that's the gist that you pick up, that she had gotten a call from your father. He said he was holed up in his shop. People were trying to get in, but he insisted that she should go to the church for the shelter. And I think she says she also tried to go to the school to get you, but the school was empty by the time that she got there.
That sounds like mom. Yeah. So you shouldn't even be in here in the first place. Like, you're not infected.
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm not. But they thought I was. They said, just in case, you got to put me in here.
I think at this point I probably already unbandaged and because inspecting her wound, right? So and I see that, yeah, it's just like, it's not even a bite mark.
Yeah, it's not a distinct bite mark. Her arm's torn up a bit,
right?
But it's not it's not a bite mark like Helen had, right? Where it's obviously human teeth.
My mom's not infected. You let us out of here.
And
you have no right to hold us.
Mrs. Parsons looks at you and she says, you're in there as a precaution. If you leave there, you have to leave the church, but you can't stay here outside of the quarantine until we can confirm that there's no infection.
Is there something wrong with your eyesight? Look at it. It's not a bite mark. Let us out.
I think Helen's gonna say, "Look,
I don't know.
There's nowhere better to go. We should stay here. Yes, we should, distinguish the people who have actually been bitten from the ones who've just had accidents. But don't run off into the outside. I mean, this is the safest place, Lori."
Lori's really worked up. She's gonna do something really stupid right now.
Okay.
Which is, she's gonna say, and even if my mom was bit, it's not a big deal. Mrs. Richards was bit, and she's completely fine.
Okay. So who's? Oh, Helen is Mrs. Richards. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot your last name for a second there. Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna shout that out?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to see if there's a move that would cover how the crowd would react, or because otherwise it's going to be bad.
Sorry, Kyle, are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
This you doing this feels like we should be playing, a Dream Askew variant where you deliberately do terrible things to earn points to do better later.
Right. This is my weak move.
Yeah. Unless there's something in particular that you were hoping to accomplish with that move.
No, I just think I figured just to create some interesting drama.
Okay.
I think Helen's gonna look around for a moment and then just run.
Okay. Yeah, I think when Lori yells that out, everyone in earshot turns to look at you. And you feel very self-conscious. You covered it up. They can't see the bite mark, but you suddenly feel very self-conscious about it. And so, yeah, if you would like to run, that is roll plus your brawn.
Is 6. Ouch. Yeah.
6. Okay, so it says on a 6 or below, you run straight into a horde. Okay, so do you have any particular destination in mind, or are you just trying to get away from the parish hall?
Helen has some vague plan of getting out of here and finding someplace in the church to hide, but no real plan.
Okay, so I think that you take off running and you find yourself at the main door of the church, and the main door is open, and Father Tom is there, and because he has opened the door, and you run right past him, and just outside has pulled up a car, and getting out of that car are the principal, what was his name again? Mr. Lawrence. So Mr. Lawrence gets out of the car, as does the mayor of the town, who is, hang on, I wanna look up who was actually mayor of Pittsburgh at this point in time, just to be historically accurate here. So it's in 1953. Oh, the mayor's name is also Mr. Lawrence. This is during David L. Lawrence's term. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. As I started looking up this, I was like, wait, was this David L. Lawrence's term? And yeah, it was. He was mayor all through the 50s. Yeah, so they're brothers, and that's part of the reason why the principal was so insistent that he was going to go talk to the mayor when he rushed off at the beginning of our last term. So yeah, so the Mr. Lawrence, the principal, and Mr. Lawrence, the mayor, both get out of the back of the car along with one of the mayor's aides. And there's a driver. Like, this is a nice car that they pulled up in. This is like the part of the official mayoral motorcade. So they all get out, and Father Tom is, seems to be coming to greet them, and was saying something about Mayor Lawrence and Principal Lawrence. So good that you're here. So glad that you were able to get out safely. And Helen, you dash past him, and as you come up on these 4 guys getting out of the car, you can see that they're walking towards the church with kind of a shuffling walk, just like you've seen before.
Sorry, Mr. Lawrence and the people in the car are doing that, or are there? Yeah,
all 4. So there's the principal, the mayor, the aide, and the driver have all gotten out of the car. They're all approaching the church, and they're all doing the zombie shuffle. And so as you dash past, and I'll say you've got time to come to a stop before you run directly into them, but you are now face to face with these 4 zombie leaders of the community.
Helen tries to drag the Father Tom back. Like, no, no, Father, they've been bit. They're infected.
Okay. So let me see. I think there should be a move here. I think that's probably Avon calling again to convince the priest to distrust these high-ranking men of the city.
I rolled a 7.
7. Okay, 7-9. Either get an item or convince them of the action you require.
I'm gonna convince them that they're a danger.
Okay. So you're shouting at him that they're infected, and he has this like moment of hesitation, and then you can see it kind of dawn on him that you're right, and he kind of grabs your arm and scrambles back inside the church and slams the door. Then as soon as he does that, he realizes he's been like holding your arm, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Richards. But you're right. I can't believe it, Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Lawrence." And as he's kind of tripping over himself to apologize, you start hearing kind of a pounding, like slow and methodical pounding on the church door from outside.
Helen's gonna break down crying and just like, oh, Father Tom, the people in there, that they think I'm infected. They want to kill me. Please promise you won't let them kill me.
And yeah, so I think he still has a positive view towards you after the whole incident earlier, where Mrs. Wright vouched for you, and he, kind of gives you a comforting, fatherly pat on the back, and he says, my dear, it will be okay. It'll be okay. And he starts. He asks if you'd like to pray with him, and starts kind of reciting a prayer. And meanwhile, there's this kind of pounding on the door. It doesn't seem like they're pounding hard enough to like break the door, but they're just kind of beating themselves against it right now.
Would he be praying in Latin? Yeah, Vatican II was in 59, yeah. So.
Okay, so then he may very well be, yeah, and he's an older guy as well, so he's probably praying a very traditional Latin prayer.
Ooh, Helen is not Catholic. She would have. She's just gonna try to like mouth the words along and try to fake it.
Yeah, there's probably there's a rhythm to the prayer that you can kind of follow, but yeah, you wouldn't. If you're not Catholic, you wouldn't have heard any of these words before. Yeah, and he kind of finishes the prayer, and then he escorts you back down towards the parish hall, because he's like, with those men outside, we have to let everyone else know. We have to figure out how to deal with this. So will you go with him back to the parish hall?
Yes. Okay. I don't think Helen sees another option.
Right. And now, you've got the priest with you to kind of vouch for you, right? So he brings you back down there, and he, when he comes in, everybody kind of looks to him, and he announces, he's like, I'm sorry, but we have a bit of a situation. There are some intruders at our gate, and I'm looking for a few volunteers who would be willing to take a major risk for the safety of our community, and I can promise that you will be absolved of all your sins if you carry out this mission successfully. It's you'll be a martyr to the church. I need 3 volunteers for a very important mission here.
Mama, what's a martyr?
Yeah. It's a slightly awkward situation for the Jews in their group here.
So, martyr, what's all this about? Come on, spill it. What do you want?
So he says that there are some infected men at the door of the church, and they're struggling to get in, and we need to get rid of them so that they don't cause any trouble, so that they don't find another way into the church to infect anyone else.
Well, I recommend these ladies with the shooting irons go shoot them.
So Mrs. Parsons and the other guard kind of look at each other and they say, well, somebody needs to keep an eye on the quarantine here as well.
Are these the only firearms you have?
They say, I think these are the only ones that we have, unless Father, there's anything else that would be in the church. And the priest kind of hesitates, like there's a really obvious hesitation before he says, no, there would be no other weapons in a house of God. So whoever goes out in this mission will need to take these 2 guns with them. We can we can find something else to help us keep an eye on the quarantine until you return.
So Tisha's gonna say, okay, this is easy. This is how we did it in France. Or I didn't do it, but this is how they did it in France. So you go up and you get a bunch of those pews and you line them up in a semicircle around that door. And you make a blockade. And then you open the door, you run over. As they're trying to scramble over them, you shoot them.
Yeah, and so Father Tom says, "Are you volunteering to lead this expedition, then?"
Well, let me ask: out of character, how far did she get into caring for these sick and wounded?
Well, why don't we have you roll your what's your disinfecting move?
Yeah.
What was that one? Sterilization.
Sterilization, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you roll it, and we'll treat that as kind of the general results for all that, because there were only 6 people in here. So I'm going to say in the time that it took that Helen ran and went outside and prayed with the priest and everything, you've had time to at least look at everyone. So roll your sterilization. We'll treat that as applying to everybody here.
7.
Okay. So you clean out and prevent infection unrelated to zombie bites. Because I guess there's basically 4 people you're looking at, because one has been killed. The other is Lori's mom, who Lori kind of checked out, and so you look them over, and they are patched up well in terms of the physical injuries that they took. But all 4 of them have, when you're looking at their wounds, they have obvious human teeth mark bites. And so you aren't able to tell just how infected any of them might be. none of them are showing any imminent signs of kind of going full zombie. But you're also not able to confirm that any of them are in the clear infection-wise.
So it says I clean up and prevent infection unrelated to zombie bites. Does that also sort of help me exonerate Lydia?
Yeah, we'll say that as well. That because you see the obvious human teeth marks on the other 4, and so if Lori, shows you her mom's injury, you can see it's obviously different from the others. So yeah, we'll say that you're able to exonerate Lydia, and Mrs. Parsons kind of, after hearing your official medical diagnosis, kind of reluctantly allows her to leave the quarantine area.
So, and Letitia would agree, we have to keep an eye on these folks, would tell those folks, and actually she has a move that, so I have a move called Bedside Manner that lets me calm injured people down. So let me just see if I can sort of help these folks that are injured sort of relax, and maybe that'll help stave off their infection a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
Size 7.
7. Okay, the patient calms down enough not to do damage, but the screaming makes it hard for you to focus. Yeah, so I think that a couple of the women in the quarantine were kind of in denial. Mm-hmm. They were hoping and telling themselves that they were in Lydia's situation, that if they had gotten injured in ways that were unrelated to getting bitten, and so they were obviously going to be okay, and it was just overreacting to put them in here. And so your attention confirms for them that they have in fact been bitten, and so there is a real risk of injury. So a couple of them are a little bit hysterical about that, because it kind of burst their bubble of comfortable denial. But they're not trying to do anything. They're just a little agitated and weeping dramatically and stuff, because there's a lot of fear and uncertainty, right? This is a brand new kind of thing. Nobody has any idea how this might progress. They just saw one person go full zombie and get shot. So it's a little scary here. Lori, I think we haven't heard from you in a little bit. What do you make of the whole situation here?
I think Lori is. I think she is not a fan. No offense, of the plan to open the front doors.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to think what she. I think she might actually. So Lori would have access to the gossip that there is a whatchamacallit, a bunker or bomb shelter in the church, right?
She's heard that there's a bomb shelter. That's a rumor that a lot of folks in town have heard, and that the church has never really confirmed.
Okay, so then I think
you've definitely heard about that.
I think Lori whispers to her mom, we've got to find they're going to open the doors. We got to find the bomb shelter. Okay. And we have to get the safety before they let all the zombies in. So I think I'm going to try to sneak away with my mom.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you roll? What's it called again? The sneaky one. Silent as the grave. Yeah. And I'll just say, if you whatever success you get, your mom can come with you on that same success level.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Ooh, got a 6, but I think I have a +1 on that for
Moxie.
Yeah. So it bumped me up to a 7.
Okay, so you pick either the zombies might notice you, or the other humans will. So you want to be seen by people or zombies?
That's kind of interesting. If I chose zombies, I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah, I would find the zombies the interesting choice to pick, but I'm not you. You get to decide.
Yeah, I dig it. And then yeah, I'll let you work out the details.
Okay. Yes, so you sneak out, and I think your scout senses are helping you get kind of a concept of how this church might be laid out. And so it seems to you that, if there was a secret bomb shelter, it would be down this way, that way, etc. So you're headed in that direction. And you're going past some of the church offices. And so there's Father Tom's office, and then there is another office for the assistant priest. I'm not actually sure. I'm not Catholic, so I don't know exactly how the people that would work for a church, but we'll say there's an assistant priest.
Sounds good.
And we will call him Father. Call him Father Angelo. So he's a Italian immigrant. He came over, has been assistant priest. So you notice his name on the door just before you hear kind of a yell from inside his office, and the door shakes as he slams against it, and there's glass, like a glass window in the door that shatters, and you see he's a younger man, and he's wearing the clerical collar and stuff too, and has been clearly locked inside his own office. Because as he kind of squeezes part of himself out of the this window that he smashed, you can tell just from the look in his eyes that he has gone full zombie, and he's reaching out to try to grab you and your mom. And so why don't you, if you want to try to avoid being grabbed, why don't you roll Squirm?
That sounds like an excellent idea. Oh, wow. I'm rolling really well. I rolled a 12.
All right. So yeah, you get away, and so he takes a big swipe at you, but he's got those kind of slow zombie reflexes, and he can't get you. And now he's trying to squeeze himself out through that broken window that's just barely big enough that he might be able to squeeze through it. But it's taking him a while. The broken glass is catching on his clothes and tearing it. And you can see he's bleeding a little bit, but he doesn't seem fazed by it because he's a zombie now. And he's kind of moaning at you.
Nice. I'm trying to think if I scream or not, because that would then draw people's attention. I'm going to stifle a scream and then just sort of, grab my mom's hand and try to rush past the door, going further into the innards of the church.
Okay, that sounds good. Why don't I have you roll one more time on the, the Dickens, the runaway one. That's plus brawn.
My luck is going to run out eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a 9 though.
9 now. Okay, so you make it to your destination, either A, with injuries for not watching where you were going, or more slowly than time allows.
And wait, sorry, it's that was a natural 9. What do I add to it?
Oh, brawn.
Oops. So it's an 8. So still the same.
Okay, so it's still the same bracket.
Okay.
Yeah.
So either more time or I take an injury.
Yeah.
What's more interesting? I think it makes more sense to be more time. Okay. Which maybe also gives this guy time to sort of squeeze his way through the window. But I I'd like him to be kind of like gory, if that's okay. By the time he
Yeah.
gets himself out, like he's like kind of ripped himself up.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm envisioning is, you had a sense of where to go to look for this secret bunker, but the layout of the church is a little different than you expected, and you go down a couple different dead ends, and things that turn out to be just like storage closets or something, until you finally find the bunker entrance, which has we'll say it's in a storage closet, but you recognize that it's there because clearly all of the like custodial equipment and stuff that was in that closet has been moved back away from this square on the floor so that it's now visible. It's the kind of thing, if like the mop bucket was sitting on it and stuff, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. But since it's clearly been pushed back away, you can see this square on the floor, and it's got a little handle. And you find it just in time because you hear a shuffling in the hall behind you, and you see Father Angelo come around the corner, and he's torn all the shreds from getting through that window. He's still got like broken glass on him, and he's coming after you. But you have just enough time to pull up that trap door. There's a ladder underneath it, and you and your mom can scramble down into there to get away from him. So why don't we leave? So actually, it's about 9 o'clock now. So I'm going to say that's a good cliffhanger to take a quick 5-minute bio break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we will see how Letitia and Helen are doing and try to bring this all towards a bit of a conclusion here. All right. So I'll see you at 5 after the hour.
Okay.
I'm good.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay. So I want to now switch focus back to our other two players. So Letitia had just laid out that plan for building the barricade with the pews. And I think that, you had that take charge kind of attitude. So I'm not going to make you like roll to convince people. I think that, you clearly gave off the impression that you were the only person in this place that knows what they're doing in a context like this. And so they all kind of defer to you and go along with this. So give us a little description of how this plan comes together.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find, so there's kids here, right?
Yeah.
So this church, this is like you said, this is like a big stone cathedral, right? It's like a big Catholic.
Yeah. It's a big kind of classic style old Catholic church.
So I'm going to find a couple of moms with kids, maybe like older kids, teenagers or something. You need to get up as high as you can so you can see what's going on outside and tell us what's going on outside. There's how many there are. Okay. You can see in front of the door. So get up in those stained glass windows up high where you can look down.
Okay.
And older kids that are a little more responsible and adult to supervise. So they're not going to be like little rascals here, right?
Right.
And so let's do that first.
Okay.
And we're going to go out to the door and listen and see if, like, we want to make sure there's not a crowd forming out there.
Okay. So why don't you roll to listen, and we'll consider that the combination of your listening and what you hear from the kids that you send to look out.
Yeah, that's
it's a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little hard to tell what's outside. There's definitely still pounding on the door. And, it sounds like it could just be 4 people pounding, but you also remember now that the stairs up to the door are kind of narrow. So if there were more people out there, they wouldn't all be able to get to the door and pound on it anyway. And the pounding prevents you from hearing anything else that's farther back. And the kids that went to look out the stained glass windows are having trouble seeing much because it's some pretty elaborate stained glass with a lot of stuff painted onto each panel. And so it's hard to get a really clear view outside.
Let's get the priest. He knows this place, right? And he knows this place inside and out. It's like, is there a way to get a view of the front stoop out here so we know what we're dealing with?
So he says that the only real way that you could do that is that somebody would have to go to the side door and actually lean outside. And he kind of looks around nervously and he volunteers to go out and look. If you need someone to actually go outside, but he says there's not really a good way to see the front without physically going outside because the church didn't install security features because this is a house of God. This is a church shouldn't have to worry about those kinds of things. That wasn't what the architects were thinking about.
So I think the teacher would say that's very noble of you, Father, but we need someone that's a little more spry that can run over there quick, take a peek, and run back. But yeah, that's what we need to do. So we're looking for a volunteer. Does anybody volunteer?
Why don't we, if you're trying to get a volunteer from the crowd, let me see. This should be one of these moves that would apply to that, I think. Not really. So I will kind of step in as MC and decide. I think you do get a volunteer. It's one of the older boys. He looks like he's maybe like 12 years old, and he volunteers to do it. And so he goes over. It's that same side door where you came in that Mrs. Wright had been guarding. There's now 2 people stationed there, kind of just in case.
Let's get our armed guards. Let's get our armed guards, looking at it. And so, run out, take a look, and run back as fast as you can. And we'll keep the door open. I mean, obviously, we'll peek out there first to make sure it's clear.
Yeah. So, because this is to one side of the building, and the front's to the other side. So, open the door, crack, and there's nothing out there. You don't see anybody on that side of the building, but you do, once you like actually open the door, you can hear that there's moaning and shuffling coming from around the other side. And so this kid will call the kid, we'll just call him Johnny. Johnny squeezes out and kind of runs over and is like hiding in the bushes, looking around the corner, and he kind of yelps and does the thing, claps his hand over his mouth after he yelps, and he comes running back, and he's like, there's a lot of zombies out there. There's a whole lot of them.
It's like more than 10.
He said, there's more than like a million, I think.
All right, let's.
I mean, there's obviously not a million zombies out there, right? But the kid is a little freaked out and kind of
Can he follow
babbling at you. But I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry, I was talking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So this kid informs you that there's an awful lot of zombies outside, but he's also pretty sure they didn't see him.
So let's just assume there's more than the 4 that we thought were out there. So
yeah, it definitely sounds like there's more than that have accumulated.
Okay, well, let us close this. Bring little Johnny back inside. And thank him. And all right, so we need to lock and barricade this place. But those front doors, is it one door or like double doors?
It's double doors. Yeah, it's the big kind of arch-topped kind of thing. They're heavy wooden doors, but it's opens to the actually, it opens from the middle.
All right. Well, that's good. So that's barred, locked right now. So they're just pounding on it. They haven't tried to try and break it down yet, apparently.
No, they're, they seem to know that people are inside the church, but they also don't seem to be able to, kind of put together the mental faculties to do more than just kind of pound and push against this door. And it's, like I said, it's a heavy wooden door. So, it's not something that they're going to be able to, break down very easily just from their weight of pushing on it.
Well, so I would gather the women that are in charge, your father and other notable people. And explain the situation that we probably should not open the doors because there's probably more. We'll probably run out of bullets before we take them all, if we can,
Yeah. So, Helen, what are you doing as this is all going down?
I think Helen is starting to think things are getting pretty bad here, and she's thinking about making a run for it, but she doesn't want to leave Lori behind, so she's gonna go looking for Lori.
Okay. So I think if you're gonna sneak off there, I'll have you roll Silent as the Grave as well, if you want to go looking for Lori without attracting other people's attention.
All right. Oof, 5.
5. Okay. So I think that you actually do manage to slip away from all of the people that are focused on Letitia's plan about barricading the doors and stuff, and you head down into the lower part of the church, and you come across the broken window on Father Angelo's office, and there's a trail with some broken glass and little blood splatters leading from there in exactly the direction you figure you should be going. And you eventually come upon Father Angelo himself, and he seems to hear you coming up behind him. And he had been kind of wandering around a little confused because he lost track of his quarry when they slipped into the basement. And he, hears you coming, and he turns and, kind of puts eyes on you and begins advancing straight for you in his zombie shuffle.
All right. I guess Helen attacks.
Okay.
I think I still got the hockey stick or whatever.
Yeah, you still got the hockey stick. All right, so roll me knuckle sandwich. That's plus your brawn.
7.
7. Okay. So that's 7 to 9. You can either come to a draw, or you can win and take damage.
I'm gonna win and take damage.
Okay. Yeah. So you describe how you do this.
Helen just whacks him with the stick, but doesn't quite get him hard enough, and just ends up. I don't know if you want her to end up getting bit or damaged some other ways, but just hitting him in the head over and over with the stick.
Okay. Yeah, so you clobber him hard with the hockey stick. And I think we'll say what happens is that in the process of this, he grabs at one of your arms and yanks it really hard. And it feels like he might have dislocated your shoulder a bit, but you have your other arm free now, and you're able to give him the final blow. And you kind of crack his skull open, and he collapses to the ground and seems to be neutralized. But your shoulder and elbow are just like absolutely on fire, because he had a lot of strength there, and kind of yanked him out of the socket. Good. So why don't you have you take another point of harm there, but you didn't get bitten, so you're not going to have to worry about being infected. But yeah, so you've taken down Father Angelo, and his blood splatters lead you right to that trapdoor in the floor. So I think this would be a good time, if you're headed that way, it's a good time to flip back to Lori for a minute. So you went down into that trapdoor, and at first it was totally dark down there, but your mom is fumbling around a bit and eventually comes upon a light switch and turns it on, and you've found your way into this bunker. So it's deep underground, and there is it's not nearly as big as something like the parish hall was, but it is seems to have very solid walls to it, there is along one side a shelf with a whole lot of cans on it, stamped with the names of what's in them. And there's a lot of food. There are some cans of sealed water down here. It looks like a lot of supplies for a small group of people to hide out here for a very long time. And there is also on the other side a chest, like a metal chest.
I knew it. The rumors were true. And I think I will make a beeline for the metal chest and try to open it up.
Okay. So the metal chest it's got a lock on it, but the lock is not currently locked. It looks like it has been opened and stuff has been done with it relatively recently. So it's still open. You open it, and inside is a rack with a variety of sorts of firearms on it.
Nice.
As well as a pile of what looks like some military grade like helmets and body armor. Whatever would have been like kind of state of the art in the early 1950s as some like tactical gear.
Yeah, I'm throwing off the hockey gear that I was previously wearing and replacing it with like Kevlar and I imagine I look adorable because it's going to be like way too big, right? Yeah, and so yeah, helmet. Just try to like tighten the chin strap as much as I can. And I think I'm gonna like grab.
Yeah, and I think your mom is like gingerly like lifting up like a pistol that was in there and kind of looking at it like, oh my god, and not nearly as excited about what we've got there. And I think it's just at this point that Helen opens the trapdoor.
I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to lock it.
Lori, are you down here?
Oh, Mrs. Richards. I'm really sorry about earlier. I just, I got so, I just wanted my mom to get out. I didn't mean to rat you out.
It's all right, honey. It all worked out for the best. I think that there are a lot of those things outside now, and I think maybe this church isn't as safe as we thought. I think maybe we and your mom should go.
No, we can stay here. Look, there's like enough food down here for us for like years. I mean, it's not enough for everyone, but there's certainly enough for us.
And Helen's gonna take a moment to just take in all the supplies and everything, and it's just yes, there is.
I do like a Vanna White thing. Ah, look at that.
We couldn't we? And she's gonna take a moment to think.
Or we could go up there and kick some zombie ass, and then I think I pump like like this 12-gauge shotgun.
Put that down before you shoot yourself.
It's okay. I was trained in firearms, which is not really true. I think I probably had like a lesson in like using like air rifles or something like that, but close enough. And I kind of point at like a badge or something that I have related to that particular lesson plan. I don't know. I mean, you're the adult. What do you think we should do?
Mrs. Berman, help me count up the supplies here, and we can take a moment, figure out how many days of supplies are down here.
All right. Yeah, and I think she'll go along with that. There's a lot. There looks like enough for if you had a dozen people down here, which is about how many could kind of hang around comfortably in this space for an extended period of time, and how many there are weapons for. You could have that dozen people stay here for, it looks like, 6 months or so, if you ration the food well. It's a lot of sort of high density kinds of foods that seem to be, packed pretty tight into these cans, and it wouldn't be an enjoyable existence because you'd be eating a lot of canned meat and that kind of stuff. But you could probably have a dozen people stay here for about 6 months on what you've got food wise. It's a very well stocked bunker.
And like, how many people are like upstairs at this point?
Probably about 100 are in the church. Like, a lot of people came to the church for shelter.
Right.
And so you get the idea of this. This might be why the priest doesn't like to talk about this bomb shelter, because you wouldn't be able to get everybody in here. There's no way.
Ugh.
Where's Mrs. Fitzpatrick?
She's still upstairs. You and your mother, you stay down here and bar the door. I'll go get Mrs. Fitzpatrick, and we'll bring some other people down here.
How are you going to decide who you're going to bring?
Well, it'll be fine. Don't worry. We'll figure this out.
Okay, if you say so. Totally not believing this. It's clearly like an instance where like adults are pretending like they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you're going back upstairs then, Helen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so let's flip back to how things are going upstairs with Letitia. So you've got a potentially much larger group of zombies at the door. What is your next move here?
So we're still back. We're still back at the side door. Let's just open it again. Is there anybody? Do we see? Are there any? If I peek out, do you see any?
So I think there are actually now. There's a couple of zombies that are shuffling over towards that door. They seem to have. Your guess is that they spotted Johnny in the bushes, and it kind of trickled through their zombie minds that they might find humans by going that direction. So there's just a couple of them kind of shuffling over in this way. They're two guys. One is wearing kind of like a business suit. The other one is wearing like overalls, like a kind of laborer's kind of outfit. Mm-hmm. Neither of them are people that you recognize who they were, but they're clearly have gone full zombie, and they're shuffling towards this door.
Are the is Mrs. Potter or whoever the sharpshooter is?
Mrs. Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's. Well, no, actually, I'm gonna say she stayed. She was the one that stayed to watch the quarantine.
Is there someone else with a?
But the other person with the gun came up here. We will call her. Let's call her Diana Wilson. She's the other one that was guarding the quarantine. So she came up with you all. She looks a lot more nervous about using the gun than Mrs. Parsons did.
What kind of gun?
But she's got it. It's another rifle. These look like hunting rifles that people grabbed from their houses before they came over here.
Like a 30-30, not a shotgun, like a single slug kind of weapon, right?
Yeah.
Long range.
I don't personally know that much about guns, but these are not like military or law enforcement weapons. These are something somebody might have because they go out, hunting rabbits or deer or something during hunting season.
Good enough. All right. So I'm looking. How many rounds do you have for that weapon?
She says that she's got 3.
All right, we're going to close the door and conserve those. Lock the door and start moving stuff in front of the door, and just have her stay there and supervise the barricading of this door.
Okay. And so you're able to drag some heavy church furniture and put it against that door.
And all right, so I think that should be our effort right now, is to barricade doors, pile up pews in front of them, whatever we have that's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she'd be trying to get some of that activity going. I think our best bet at this point is probably to hunker down. We're in a nice solid building. But one thing she does want to do is get some of these teenagers back up. And now what we want to do is look for help. National Guard, police, if somebody is out there, we want to let them know we're in here.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay, so the church does have a phone.
Oh.
So you could go to, and I think Father Tom would, tell you about that. There, in his office, there's a phone. And so he'll take you down there to use the phone if you'd like.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we should probably try and call some sort of authorities. Let him know there's 100 and something people here.
Yeah. He goes down with you. And so when you go down there to his office, you see the trail of blood coming from Father Angelo's office that's right next door, and Father Tom gets a little worried about what's going on, and kind of hustles you into his office and slams the door and locks it, and is pretty worried, and points you to the phone that's there next to his desk.
Okay. So
who are you going to try to call?
Yeah,
there's a phone book there too, so you can look up phone numbers of anybody in the town.
Well, we should probably call the state police.
Okay.
So she's going to find the number and try and call.
Yep. All right. So you call the state police. And it rings, and it rings, and it rings, and it rings. It goes on for quite a long time. Nobody is picking up at the state police local headquarters.
All right, I'm just going to try and get an operator. This is the 50s. You could just get the operator.
Yeah, you can just go to the operator. Yeah. So you can get through to the operator. A woman picks up and she's like, "Hello, operator."
Yeah, I need you to connect me with. So we're in Pittsburgh. I need you to connect me with the state police in Philadelphia.
She says, "Oh, okay, I can try. They've been getting a lot of calls lately, and she, I don't personally know enough about how old timey operators on phones would work, but she eventually patches you through to state police headquarters in Philadelphia, and you get somebody on the line. We'll say identifies himself as Officer Jones. Asks what your emergency is.
He says, "Well, some kind of a bomb went off here, and she goes, you must know that there's been some sort of an attack."
Yeah, and he seems to be kind of he's got a voice like he has been through more stress in the last few hours than he has in his entire rest of his life, and he's kind of over it. And he's like, yes, that they hit Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and New York and Washington and Boston at the very least. We're still trying to get through to Chicago and Los Angeles, but I would guess that they've gotten hit as well. So all of our agents that are still with us are out on duty right now, trying to get this under control. And we unfortunately haven't been able to get through to the Pittsburgh substation yet. And we have some folks on their way out from Harrisburg, but it's going to be a few hours till they'd be able to get to you.
Well, we've got a large group of people, including, well, almost all women and children, but we're safe for the moment. We're barricaded.
Okay, and where are you that you're safe?
Yeah, St. Christopher's Church. I'd give him.
Okay. Yeah. And he says, okay, well, if they call back to report in, we will let them know that you're there and direct them to you.
So thank you.
I don't know, in the 50s, I don't think they'd have a way to initiate a call to cars that are on the way, but he promises if they call back in to check in and report their progress, that he will definitely let them know that there's a group of people holed up at that church.
Yeah, well, they had pretty sophisticated radios back then, so I think they would be able to.
Would they? Okay, I don't know the technology in detail enough.
Like a very barely standard, law enforcement communication system.
Okay.
They would be able to use. So
okay, well then he tells you that he will radio that to them and let them know, but it might be a few hours till they get there because they've got dispatched fairly recently from the Harrisburg station.
All right. Well, I think that's probably the best we can do in that case. So I think now the thing to do is just to barricade.
Okay. All right. So Helen, what have you been up to? You were leaving the bunker.
Yeah, I think Helen's gonna find Miss Fitzpatrick, try to pull her aside for a bit because she seems to know what she's doing.
Okay, remind me who Miss Fitzpatrick was.
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay, sorry. I always, that's right. I always refer to you all by your first name, so I keep forgetting all of your last names. Okay, so you're looking for Letitia.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to say you can find her pretty easily once she's done on the phone. You could probably hear her talking on the phone from inside Father Tom's office, so you can find her there without any trouble.
Is that the police? Are they going to help us?
Well, I certainly hope.
Yeah, I think Father Tom sees you there, and he opens the door and rushes you in and slams it and locks it behind you. And he's like, oh, thank God you're safe. I think Father Angelo must be out there roaming around. I hope he didn't see you.
He's not going to be a problem anymore.
And, Father Tom kind of crosses himself and mumbles a prayer under his breath when he realizes what you're telling him. Okay, but now continue your conversation with Letitia.
Was that the police? Are they coming to help us? Letitia?
Oh, well, we certainly hope so. It might take a while though. They're going to be pretty busy, but I did tell them where we were.
Okay.
Well, all of the local law enforcement is probably suffered the fate of a lot of other people that were impacted by that attack, and it happened in. Actually, see, look around. It's only the three of them, right? So don't tell anybody this, but it happened all over Philadelphia, Boston, probably New York, Washington D.C. This could be pretty serious, but let's keep that to ourselves for now. And it's have our hands over Lori's ears. We don't hear this.
Oh, I think I'm still on the thing, but
yeah, I think Lori's still downstairs.
Good, just so much for the better. So, so yeah, I'd fill him in, but we shouldn't hope for any help like soon. They're coming all the way from Harrisburg, and we're just one of many people seeking their help.
All right. I found the bunker.
So is she armed at this point?
Yeah. Let's say she grabbed a handgun or something while she was down there.
Is it visible? Because I think Letitia would notice that.
It's probably yeah. It's visible.
She says, "Oh, I see you armed yourself. Where did you find?"
Yes, I found a bunker. It has a whole mess of guns and body armor and food for 6 months for maybe 10 people.
So he's going to look at Father Tom at this point. Look like, well,
yeah. So Father Tom kind of bows his head and he says, "The military asked us to build a bomb shelter in the basement of the church back in 1943, and we did, but we've kept it a secret because we didn't want to alarm anyone, and because, well, I mean, you saw only like a dozen people could go down there, and you know, there's a lot more people than that here right now, and so I didn't want to create any sort of problems by telling people about this."
That's understandable, and no one's going to fault you for that. However, now we have, are there more weapons down there? You know, ask Helen.
Yeah.
So
Yes. There are many more.
And you said food for 6 months
For 10 people.
For 10 people, well, then that's food for a week for all of us at least.
Is a week enough time? I mean,
well, it's going to have to be. We can't isolate, we can't isolate ourselves down there. It's not the Christian thing to do. We have to share and make do. Just like Jesus with the loaves and fishes, we will make do.
I think some of us need to leave. I mean, were there cars in the parking lot when we came in?
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of cars there.
I think maybe some of us should just, if some of us leave, get in the cars and drive off, we can go somewhere safer and leave the other people with enough time, enough food to wait it out. I mean, this can't take that long. I mean,
well, how many of these women and children do you think are going to be willing to go rush for their cars through? I mean, there's dozens of these things out there now.
Okay, so we just need to lure them off. If one person can get in a car, honk their horn or something, make a loud noise, get the zombies to chase after them, the rest will have a chance to get in their own cars and go off.
That's certainly a possibility and not out of the question. But we're certainly not going to, choose 10 people to go down in that bunker. So, so at this point, I think we have to, well, we need to go talk to the rest of these folks out here, and you're more than welcome to present your idea, and anybody who wants to is willing to. But if you run for it, it puts the rest of us at risk because we have to open the doors.
All right. Yes. Let's bring up a plan. Yes. Or let's discuss this.
All right. So we should go.
Okay. So you're both gonna go try to sell the crowd on your plans then.
Oh, I'm not convinced of this drawing them away and running for it is the best idea yet.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just saying, well, we need to go rejoin the rest of our group and figure out whatever it is we're going to do, we need to figure it out together.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going to make a decision for these people.
That's probably the way to go, yeah.
Okay. So, Lori, what have you been up to at this point?
I'm seriously considering locking the door.
just hiding out down there with your mom.
Basically.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, it does lock from the inside.
right.
You
right.
could lock yourself in, and it would take an army to dislodge you, because that's the whole point of the bunker.
Exactly. These guys can debate all they want. I'm trying to think. Let's see. So I guess I wouldn't necessarily know at this point how many zombies there are outside. I guess if for no other reason, just like for narrative reasons, I think basically I'm gonna like arm myself to the teeth, put as much body armor on as I can. Like more guns. Like I'm basically, my plan is like to hand out guns at this point. So I'm just taking as much as I can carry.
So you're just gonna bring all those guns upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So why don't we bring all three of you? So we're getting close toward the end of our session here. So let's bring all of you together at the doors where the rest of the crowd has gathered. You can all hear the zombies pounding at the front door. There's now some pounding coming from the side door. And so, yeah, so the rest of the crowd is getting pretty nervous here. And they're kind of looking for someone to be willing to, take charge and tell them what's going to happen. And so I think since the three of you have been kind of the most active parties here, I think they're all kind of looking to the three of you to say what should happen here.
So we'll first gather everybody around, and we'll tell them that the state police have been notified. They know we're here. It will be a while before they even get here. But we have to decide. So actually, she's must be coming up with the guns by this time. So people must be reacting to the sight of, all this firepower.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people seem very nervous about all the guns being out and about, and other people, seem a little more confident in it.
So
I think, Laurie's going to like start handing out the weapons, and it's like, there's not enough room. Yes, there's a bunker. There's not enough room for everybody. So, we've just got to do our best and stand and fight. Who's with me? And I got to raise up like one of the shotgun, and I start just thrusting firearms into the hands of anybody who seems like they'll take it.
Okay. Yeah, so you managed to hand out the full complement of guns that you brought up from the basement, because again, the basement was stocked and armed with the assumption there'd be, about a dozen people down there.
Are these like military weapons?
Yeah, these are military weapons.
And
you've got like assault rifles and military grade sidearms and stuff here.
Stockpile of ammo as well.
Yep. This bunker was outfitted with the expectation of like a Nazi invasion of the U.S. mainland.
Anything more powerful than rifles?
I think there's actually a find stuff kind of move here. Which one was that?
Soup it up or something like that?
Yeah, why don't we use that if you want to see if there's something that can bring a little more firepower than just the rifles.
What's the roll?
So that's plus smarts.
All right. 10.
10. Okay. So why don't you tell me what else you find down there?
Claymores.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So how's this all going to go down? What are we doing?
Point towards enemy. That's how they go down. No. Well, teach us an army nurse. They teach them basic firearms and things like this.
Okay.
And the good old Claymore mine comes with a set of instructions, so it's pretty hard not to do. So, so first of all, we're going to get everybody. We need to barricade, right? We need to set up our barricade. So I think we open the doors and we just destroy them, and then go for our cars.
Okay.
Analyze the area, get in our cars, get the hell out of here.
Okay. So why don't we see how that goes down with because this is a lot bigger production than the knuckle sandwich move is really envisioning here. So
because like the claymores and everybody with the guns firing.
Yeah. So why don't we just do kind of an improvised move here? Let's have all three of you roll and add your brawn, and we'll kind of, from the results of that, let you each narrate a piece of how this goes.
Cool.
So we'll basically say if you get a 10 or up, you get to tell me, something awesome that you did. If you get a 7 to 9, you can tell me one awesome thing you did, but also one way that it went wrong. And if you get a 6 or less, then I will tell you how it went poorly for you.
I got a 10.
Okay. So we got a 10 from Letitia. How about the other two of you?
I got like a 3. I think a 2 modified.
Okay.
I got a 6.
Yeah, 6. Okay. Okay, so let's start with Letitia. Tell us. So you get to do something awesome. So tell us the good side of what happens here.
The good side is the plan is to set up like 2 or 3 claymores right in front of the doors. Fling the doors open when they go, oh, the doors are open. Let them get a couple of steps in and just pop them. Right.
Okay.
So if there's, those will, just for reference, those will mow through 8 or 10 people thick, at that range. They're devastating.
Okay.
And frankly, it would not be that out of the question in a civil defense bunker, in a situation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the thing. So that's the plan, and they do it. You get a couple of teenagers to throw those doors open.
All right. Yeah, you do it. Everybody else ducks behind the pew barricades as the mines go off. And I will point out here that when you first said claymores, I was envisioning the swords. And I was like, that's pretty awesome and badass with like swords, I guess. And it took me a minute to connect that was also the name of an explosive device. Yeah. But yeah, so you set them off, and so when the doors come open, you can see there's a decent crowd has gathered, all men, but from kind of all walks of life, with the mayor and the principal at the front of the crowd still. But your minds just kind of mow through them as they're all basically lined up outside the door there. And all the people in the church cheer and also cry because some of them recognized some of those guys, but they also knew that they were now bloodthirsty zombies. So there's a lot of kind of mixed emotions. But okay, so the other two of you both got bad results, right? Okay. Yep. So actually, since we're coming to the end, why don't I let you each tell me one thing that goes terribly wrong for you personally? So we'll let Letitia's success there be kind of a win for the group gathered in the church as a whole, that you've kind of neutralized the main zombie horde that was coming at you here. But let's have each of you, and we'll start with Helen, tell us one thing that went very badly for you personally in all this.
I think Helen crashes her car. She got keys from somebody. She got in driving off and just went off the road, crashed into a house or something.
Okay, so she tried to make the break for it, and in her panic, crashes her car. Okay.
Oh, and it looked like she was going to get away too, right? Like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so tragic.
Yeah. Okay. And so tell me something that goes terribly wrong for, I have an idea, but I'll let you if you have an idea of what's going to go terribly wrong for Lori.
So I had this vision of like Lori like going up to one of those stained glass windows, which maybe like had like, I don't know, like the image of an angel or something like that. And then like busting out the head of the angel with the butt of her like shotgun to create like a firing position. So I still kind of want that to happen. But then
So I have an idea.
You have an idea? What's your idea? Yeah.
So my idea is that as you're, you bust out the window to fire at the crowd of zombies. And so, the mines go off and there's, just a couple left standing, and, you take one out, but as you take him out, you realize that was your dad. That he had gotten zombified and joined this crowd. And so you had to take down your own father.
That's so good, Centaur. Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So you're physically safe, but a little bit emotionally wrecked from what you had to do to help defend the church.
Oh, I shot my father through the angel head. Oh, the humanity.
Yeah.
And the wacky symbolism of that. I don't know how to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's like layers to that I don't know if I can even unpack. But yeah.
I thought you were gonna say she shot out Helen's tire.
Oh my God. That'd be also bad.
Yeah. I mean, we could do both. You rolled really bad, right? You got like a 2. So yeah, let's say you get off 2 shots. One kills your father, the other hits Helen's tire, and that's why she spins out and crashes.
All right then.
Okay, so we do all this. The immediate zombie horde threat is neutralized here, and it's actually not too long after all of this that you see some police cars pull up. And so these aren't the state police, these are the police from Ligonier, which is a small city a little ways down the road from Pittsburgh that wouldn't be big enough for the Soviets to set off one of their zombie bombs in. And so they show up, sirens blaring, and they explain that the state police radioed ahead to them after they got the message routed via the Philly headquarters, and had asked them to come check on you, and they look impressed. They're like, we heard there was a horde, had people tied up in the church here, but it looks like you ladies kind of have that under control now. And they, help Helen out of the ditch, and then offer to escort the whole group if everybody gets in their cars, and they say they've got a safe zone set up out in Ligonier, and they can escort you all out there so that you'll be safe while the authorities try to get to grips on the larger zombie problem. All right, so That's Dead Scare. Why don't we wrap up with each of you give a little epilogue of, so in the kind of storyline that the game has, there's the bombs go off, the zombie invasion starts, but eventually the authorities get everything under control, and there's like a reconstruction phase where the country rebuilds from this. So, eventually things will go kind of back to normal. So why don't you each give me a little epilogue of where your character's life goes in the years following the zombie outbreak.
So Letitia, during this, sort of makes a name for herself, attending to the inflicted, right? And so she actually becomes sort of a spokesperson for the rights of the zombie infected.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. How about Helen? What's your later life like?
Helen. I'm drawing a blank. I'm not really sure what ends up happening with Helen.
Okay, well, let's hear from Lori, and I'll give you a little more time to think there. So, what's Lori's life like after the zombies?
I think I'm going to project like pretty far out into the future.
Yeah.
I think Lori is going to. She never quite gets over, the guilt of shooting her father. And also just like the whole experience is obviously really traumatic for her as a child. And she develops horrible, like, what's it called? Agoraphobia? I think when you like fear like open spaces and being like, around people, I think, right? So I think she ends up becoming kind of like a recluse. And this is really depressing. I'm sorry. But like, yeah, she just like drops out of society. Like she's off in the wilderness to be with her birds. As you may recall from session 1, she was really into the birds. So she's living with the birds out in the wilderness now.
Okay.
There were no zombie birds.
Nope. Humans only.
Yeah. At least not until the next session.
Yeah. I'll write a hack. The zombie birds.
I'll play that. Right. You specialize in animal games.
In animal games. Yep. That's my thing usually. It's weird. I'm running a game that has nothing. There was a dog last session. But,
there was a dog, yeah.
Otherwise no animals in this game. It's very unusual for me. Yeah. Okay. And Kyle, did you have any ideas about Helen's life?
No, not really.
Okay, that's fine. We can leave Helen's future a little mystery, and our viewers can come up with their own headcanons. So, yeah, so that's Dead Scare. I'm going to end the broadcast. If you guys want to stick around for just a little bit, we can kind of debrief and wrap it up.
Great.